we are going to be talking about paraphrasing, plagiarism, in-text citation, and also how to structure or write your background of the study. So in our last class, remember we talked about research philosophies. Even we talk about types of research in general. So we talk about types of research based on functions, talk about types of research based on utility, function or utility. We talk about types of research based on design. We talk about types of research based on philosophy and types of research based on methodology. So under the utility, we were made to understand that we have basic and applied. Under the design, we were made to understand that we have what's it called, experimental and non-experimental design. For the experimental, we said we have true or full experimental and partial or quasi experimental. So also we talk about research classification based on philosophy, where we pick three major philosophies. Though we said there are more, but based on our field of study, we structure more on three, which include the positivism, the interpretivism, and the pragmatism. So we look at each one of them and how each school of thoughts believe research should be conducted. So also we talk about classification of research based on what was that last one again? Method. So where we talk about quantitative method, qualitative method, and the mixed method. So going further, we are going to look at each of these in depth. But for today, before we even look at each of these type of research in depth, we first need to understand some basic things about research, such as plagiarism or academic integrity and precision. So we'll talk about paraphrasing also, in-text citations, and references in general. So now let's look at what is plagiarism and how can you that are writing in research. You cannot write without giving credit to those which you are using their ideas. Also, at the same time, you cannot write in research using only your own thinking. No matter how you are experienced, no matter how knowledgeable you think you are, you still need to make reference. You need to read what other people have done, what the ideas of other people. You need to read and put everything together. You tell your reader what you understand by their idea, where you supported their idea, and where you beg to differ, and why you differ, your own idea differs from their own. So when you are talking about research, in this aspect, we have a major problem of plagiarism. And plagiarism usually comes from the fact that when you as a researcher, when you write and you fail to give the idea of what you think an author is saying, that is, you are writing by copying what other people have said, word for word. With this, I'm not saying that plagiarism is when you copy their word for word, because you can even plagiarize even after you have adjusted or you have changed some things. And that is why it is critical for us to look at it. That means, why do we need to cite? Even when you cite, you can still fall short of plagiarism problem. So that takes us to today's topic, which is plagiarism, in-text citations, paraphrasing. Let's first of all talk about why we need to cite. when you are writing academically, you need to cite other people's opinion. Because what informed your own opinion is that you have read other people's work. Based on your original thinking, let's say maybe your intuition, your observation of your environment, of your students, you have come up with a problem. Remember what we talked about research gap and problem identification last week, where we are talking about time, location, methodology, and so on, even scope. Do you get? So you cannot do all this without reading other people's work. And when you are reading their work, you want your reader also to understand the magnitude of that problem. And you need to make reference. That is, you need to cite those work that you've read to show your readers that though this problem that I noticed, there are people that have been working on this, but most of their work or all this work that I've read, nobody have thought or think or work in this direction that me I want to look at. Are we following? So that is why in-text citations is very, very germane or important when it comes to research writing. Why do we need in-text citations in research? We need in-text citation for three major purposes. One, for traceability. Traceability in the sense that your reader will be able to say that this idea that you have in your work is coming directly from this also work, that it is not yours. You borrowed it. Despite the fact that you will not write it the way those people presented it. You will write it the way you understand. Because the moment you write it the way they did, and you did not put it, and it's not coming in form of direct quotation, that means you are stealing their own idea, which we know as what? Plagiarism. So even though you cite them, but you copy what they wrote word for word, it is still what? Plagiarism. Even if you change some words, you didn't change the entire words, but you change some words. At the end of the day, it is still plagiarism. So that means paraphrasing goes beyond just changing of words, just using synonyms. No, paraphrasing goes beyond that. But for now, we are working on what? In-text citation. So the very first purpose of in-text citation is what? Traceability. So if I'm reading your work and I believe that this idea makes sense, but I want to know more about that idea. For instance, now you might be saying in your own work, you might be refuting the idea of the person that you cited. Then why me I'm reading your work? I'm interested more in the person that you refuted. Do you get? So I cannot say, okay, instead of me reading your work, since you already object what this person is saying, but me, I'm not interested in your idea. I am refuting your own idea to accept the other person's idea. So for me to know where that idea is coming from, if you cite, definitely to be in your reference also. Do you get? So that gives me the ability to trace the original author of their idea back to their own original work. That is the first work of in-text citation and references. Are we following? Secondly, is that we use in-text citation and references to give credit. That is, we are acknowledging intellectual property. You know, when I'm writing and I paraphrase, quote me, I'm not saying I changed some words. I'm not saying I copied that, I've paraphrased, meaning that I've read what the person said, and now put it down the way I understand what they said. Definitely, you will notice that it's not what they said again. You will notice that it's not what they said again. It is what I'm saying now. That is what I understood from reading their own work. So if I didn't acknowledge them, if I didn't cite them, people will see it as my own. And it might even be difficult sometimes to claim that I am not the owner, since I've written it in my own way. So people might think it's my own. Do you get? But the original idea is still coming from another person's idea. So if I cite them, that means I'm not stealing. But if I didn't cite them, what am I doing? I'm stealing. So I'm stealing intellectual property. So if that person should read my work and be able to claim and identify that this is my thought, the person can actually sue me. And when the person sue me, they will read the person's work. They will check what year did you publish this work compared to when I published my own. And we all know that if I'm reading someone's idea to do my own without acknowledging them, definitely that person's work has already been published before my own. So definitely they will acknowledge what the person is saying. And that might lead me into wahala. Do you get? Before we go further, there is this issue in, I think, one of the Asian countries now. A professor was being punished and being withdrawn from his position because a student under him, do you get, published our own PhD thesis with in-text citation, of which the original work that was cited is not in existence. You cited Taiwo 2011 in your work. You now published it. Meanwhile, Taiwo that you cited in your work, there is no work that Taiwo published in 2011 at all. So you now cited it under the supervision of your professor. Now the professor is in wahala. But after the professor, who will not be in the wahala? The students. So that is to tell you that in-text citation, paraphrasing, and references, they are the key power to intellectual property protection. And they are a big issue when it comes towards research. So another reason why we need to cite is for positioning. The other time, I was talking about my paper that has 16 reads within just 2 or 3 weeks. It was because of my the number of in-text citations that I'm getting. Do you get? So if people are reading my work and they are citing it, it will be easier for other people to locate that my work globally, because many people have been using it and they have been imagining that, yes, this idea is coming from. So the more people are using it, the more my idea will be showcased. So those are the three reasons for in-text citations and references in academic research. So from all my explanations, you will notice that it is not possible for you to have in-text citation without having a full reference. It is not possible to have references without having that reference in your in-text citation. So meaning that your in-text citation will dictate what will be in your words, in your reference, irrespective of references type that you are using. So after that, how do we now cite in our work? When you want to cite, we have 2 or 3 major ways of citing. But before we go there, let's look at why do you need to cite? No, sorry, I've talked about why do you need to cite. Then how do you structure your citations? In everything that you are writing, you need to have your own idea. But before you develop your idea, you will have read what other people have said, either from peer-reviewed articles, from historical data, expert consensus, conference papers, theses or dissertations, even theories. So when you are citing, you will not just cite. After you cite what the idea of that person, you are bound to go further by telling your reader what your view about that idea. So your view, you don't need to cite. But that person's view, you need to do what? You need to cite. So that is why if you look at what you can see in the PowerPoint, it says citing sources proves that students have read, understood, and can apply information learned from others. There are 3 things there. When you are citing, it shows that you have read some people's work, right? So you not only read their work, you understood. Because before you can cite, you would have paraphrased. Paraphrase means you are writing it, the idea, even though it's not your own, you are writing it the way you understand. So meaning that you have gone beyond just writing. You have moved towards understanding what they said. And after you understand, you can also apply. Because if you read, you understand. If you cannot apply, you will not be able to use it in your work. Remember the other time I said when you cite, you have already given us what you understand by what the person said, but you will not stop there. You need to link it back to what you are writing, to your own original ideas, meaning that you can apply what you understand. So there are three things that paraphrasing and intercitation is coming to do. You read, you will understand, and you will be able to apply. So that means if you read and you don't understand, you cannot paraphrase. If you read and understand, but you cannot apply, you can still not paraphrase. So definitely, if you see any idea, once you read, you understand, you must make sure you know how to apply it in your work. Any idea that you read and you understand, but you are finding it difficult to apply in your work, my own knowledge is it is best you leave it. That means naturally that idea is not flowing with what you want to write. Do you get? Because if you read my work, you understand it, but you are not finding it difficult to implement it or to add it to what you are doing. Definitely, it shows that naturally what you read and what you are writing on are not in agreement. If they are in agreement, you should be able to implement, you should be able to add it and use it flawlessly. That takes us to the second lesson. When you are citing, we have three ways of citing. We have citation at the beginning of the sentence. We have citation at the end of the sentence. And we have citations that they are direct quotation. Are you with me? That is in the next slide. Have you seen it? So when you are talking about citation at the beginning of a sentence, we call it in text. Yes. If in text insights will be difficult for you, just know that we have citation at the beginning and at the end. Some people do use at the middle, but I prefer, and I think the one that is majorly acceptable is either at the beginning or at the end. At that statement. The statement that you paraphrased. Exactly. Now, if you want to cite at the beginning of the statement, let's say, as I'm teaching you now, Taiwo 2026 said, when you copy or closely paraphrase to maintain flow, that is what intercitation is. So let's say I said, Olu is a boy. You now want to use it in your study. You can say, okay, sorry, because of paraphrasing, let's say the boy that was named Olu yesterday is a boy. That was the original statement. Now, if you are paraphrasing, you can just say, Olu is a boy giving birth to yesterday. Something like that. So if you are not using intent, you can say, according to Taiwo 2026, Olu is a boy giving birth to yesterday. Do you get? That is at the beginning. If it is at the end, you just say, Olu is a boy giving birth to yesterday. Your intercitation. But there are differences in the way you will now cite. It's not that Taiwo. The question now is, how will you write Taiwo 2026 if you are writing at the beginning and if you are writing at the end? Remember, Taiwo is just one author at this point. So the example that I'm citing now is just for one person. After that, we'll look at if you have two, if you have 3. It's not that clear. Okay, I will see. Okay, go to the next slide after that one. 2 more slides. I think slide 9. Let's come to slide 9 first. So that's the differences in their in the way you write the in-text citation is what we know as native and parenthetical citations. When you want to cite from the beginning, you will use narrative, yes. You know, I've explained that you can cite from the beginning, at the beginning, or at the end. So if you are citing from the beginning, that Taiwo 2026 will come as Taiwo, then bracket 2026. Remember that Taiwo is always the author's last name. When you are citing, you will go for the author's last name, otherwise called surname in Nigeria. Do you get? So you will put Taiwo, no bracket, nothing, nothing. But the year will be in bracket. That is if you are citing from the beginning. Let's say we want to use your name now. Your surname, Salami. So if I want to cite you from the beginning, I will say Salami, no bracket. But the year 2026, if your publication was in 2026, I would now say the 2026 will now be in brackets. So I can say, according to Salami 2026, according to Salami, bracket 2026, educational technology is so, 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 and so. Do you get? But if I'm citing parenthetical, like at the end, instead of writing Salami, then the year in bracket, everything will be in brackets. Salami will be in bracket, the year will be in brackets. The same brackets. I will put Salami, comma, 2020, then close the bracket. Are we following? Like this one now, the first one, which is the narrative one, you see Smith 2020 argues. I can also say Smith 2020, according to, instead of using Smith 2020 argues, I can also say, according to Smith 2020, raising sea levels. But don't worry, we are still going to look at how you can use your words. Focus on inter-citations for now. So secondly is when you are now citing, I hope we've gotten that of one author. You have a question, ma? Okay. Because one is coming at the beginning, the other one is coming at the end. So at the beginning, you are opening a sentence and you cannot use brackets to start that. Do you get? And if you look at it, year is usually in numerical number. So you cannot write it the way you write your normal alphabets. So that's why the year in the narrative one, that of the beginning, is in the bracket. But the second one, you are closing a sentence. So it's not possible to say, raising sea level poses significant risk to coastal communities, Smith, without brackets. It will read as if Smith is part of your sentence. Do you get? That is why it is in brackets. That is for one author. Are we good? Should we look at if we have 2 authors? Now, if you have 2 authors, the same rules still apply, but with smaller or just few adjustments, little adjustments. Let's say we have Salami and Ojerinde 2026 that we want to cite for this particular statement. Let's say the 2 of you, you are the one that argues that raising sea levels pose significant risk. Are we getting it? So in that case, that means instead of using, if you are doing narrative intercitations, instead of writing just salami, you are. So you need to capture the author's past name. Are we getting it? So in that case, that means there is need for you to introduce another word called and. Are we following? To show that there are two authors. So there is need for you to use and. Do you get it? Now, how will you now use the and? We all know that and can be written in two forms. You either use the signed one or you write it in full. So when you are starting narratively, that is, from the beginning of the words, am I communicating? You will put salami as the first person. Salami and Ojerunde. Can say opines that environment is one of the factors influencing body habit. This is at the beginning. Another way around for this is if you don't want to use this for point. Okay, don't worry, we'll get to that place. We'll get to that. Don't let me rush. This is narratively, right? Or you call it at the beginning. Now, what if you want to do this same intercitation, but at the end of the thing? Everything is going to be. Now, this thing like this, right? Or the whole statement. Just this. So now tell me how it will be. Let's say I've opened the bracket now. How will I put the hand? The symbol hand. And again, then comma 2026. You can see the difference. Hello? But before you can use this, there is something that will change here. Because I can't just say we find that environmental is not. So that means this, can we call this verb? This verb go out. This verb is not only going out, something will change here. If this is going out, this go out also. So we can start from environment. Or you can introduce another prefix that it is believed. You can start from that it is believed that environment is one of the so. Are we following? This is for two authors. Now, according to APA 7, let's say we now have three authors. We now have three authors. The three of them to author the paper in 2026. And this is what you get from that paper. I want to cite them, either from the beginning or the end. Their name one by one APA7 said since they are up to 3 or 4, start from N up. Let's for our let's use the same. If they ask you to use APA, you know how to do it. If they ask you to use APA7, to do something like this. Like start at it will be in Salami, Ojerinde, and Ghana. This and so at the end, it will be Salami, comma. Remember, there's no comma here. But there comma, then no comma, no comma, Ghana, 2026. APA6. This place at the Salami, X no comma, X stop. Sorry. X off.
So maybe chapter starts again. So I'm not going to use all the names. I'll just use F
for the yes. But for the APA7, it means that right from the first iteration, start here.
For APA.
Right from the
But when I was
that's why
my supervisor.
maybe that is the first time you are citing them. Remember, we are using this video. So if you are citing them for the first time you are work, you
list all of them.
check it clearly. You see these names, right? They are the one that I want to start. And my school is everything they use. Right? So if I want to cite it for the first time in my work, if there's nothing of that page that I'm writing, I'm introducing them for the first time in that particular paper that I'm writing. I will put Salami, comma, Ojerinde, and data. This is at the beginning. Yes, that's that time. If you are citing them at the beginning, now, if I still want to cite them at the beginning also, subsequently, it will now be Salami S of at the beginning.
At the end.
At the end, right? So this is for
Okay, the other one.
the two is for the beginning. My first citation, my subsequent citation, beginning in.
Yes,
I'm using a PhD first. After, if you understand this, then I'm not to take the same. Because if they are using a PhD here, if you want to work, I'm going to ask myself that they are using a PhD. So you need to understand it. At the end, if it's at the end now, you now open the bracket. Salami, comma, Ojerinde, and Ghana. 2022. At the end, first citation
At the end.
at the end. You are citing them for the first time in the work, but at the end. If it is now subsequent citation in that same paper, or you still want to use it at the end, now become salami, S, or do you get? Now, my question is, what do you think we are using all these dots method for in research? Why do you think it is necessary? Aside from giving credit to the person that owns, when you write an email, you are citing them, you are giving credit to them. But why do you think we have different way of writing it? Anybody? Yeah, you can see about secretary. Okay, let's take yourself. Yeah, I will now come back to my question. If you are writing in the and you want to write it at the beginning, instead of writing it at the beginning, just allow me to come and do it. Irrespective of whether you are starting them for the first time, the second time, or for the third time, just use. And if it is at the end, just use as simple as that. But at the reference, you have to put everything in, you not use effort. Now, my question is, why do you think a 7 should be? And why do you think people in a should attack like them need to continue with the effort? Aside from being already in the reference, there is something particular about it, which is to monitor and manage our work time. When you are writing, you will not be allowed or you are not free to use your words during writing. So you need to be conscious of how you are using your words. Because as you are writing, you need to plan and prepare ourselves for writing the international school. So if you want to publish an international paper, I think they do it in Nigeria. They will tell you that we need 4,000 to 2,000 words. So if you want to do that, discover that even citation alone can take up to 3,000 words out of 6,000. You now be wondering, how can you go about that? That's what led to the updated format of 86 is better. Any question on that?
No.
So we can go back to where I started. This, yeah. Okay, now let's go further. Let's look at phrases that you can use. Phrases that you can use when you are paraphrasing. Remember what we are talking about today is in-text citation, paraphrasing, and plagiarism. And I've already explained that paraphrasing and in-text citations are just two ways of avoiding plagiarism. And plagiarism simply means what? Intellectual what? Stealing. That is what plagiarism means. Intellectual stealing. You are stealing intellectual property of someone else. So now, what are those phrases that you can use and what is their function? If you want to be neutral, check your the slide. If you want to be neutral or you are stating a fact the way it is from where you read it, you can use phrases such as stated, observed, noted, reported, found, Remember the other time that I cited an example here. I said opined. Opined is showing that that is their position, that is their argument. It's quite different. I'm not stating facts. There is no data to back that up. So anything you are writing, you want to paraphrase, and that person already gave you a lot of empirical data to back the claim up. It is no more an argument. It's a fact. That is what they see in their own study. So you use phrases such as stated, observed, noted, reported, found. Do you get? Reported also can come in that case. But if it is an argument or a claim or a position that we want to cite, then it will now become argued, opined, positioned, asserted, proposed, reasoned. Are we following? You can see that each of these phrases have the way you should use them. You cannot be jam packing these phrases. If you want to show that you are agreeing to the statement that that person made, or you have like 3 authors or 2 authors that their view agrees to each other, so you can use phrases such as endorsed. And remember, at this point, you need to be very careful, because this is where most people get it wrong when it comes to critical writing. If you are endorsing, if a study is endorsing what another person has written, you now said Taiwo 2026 endorse Olu 2028. Is it possible? You don't understand. Let's say Mr. Said want to write. He has read my work on entrepreneurship. He has also read Mr. Ojende's work on entrepreneurship. He now see that we are heading towards the same direction. Our view is actually the same. Do you get? So he now want to put it in his own write-up. He now said, meanwhile, I published my own work in 2025. She published her own in 2021. She now said, Ojenide 2021 endorsed Taiwo 2025. Is it possible? No. Can we endorse 2021? Because the recent dates, the old dates cannot be endorsing the recent dates. So those are part of the simple mistake that we do make when we are writing in research. Even if you want to use confirmed, confirmed also is a phrase that is showing agreement. Even if you said it is in tantamous or correlate or corroborate, those words are showing agreement. You must make sure that you studied their year of publications, because you cannot be saying a new work, an old work is corroborating a new work. No. Do you get? These are salient knowledge when it comes to research writing. It's not just how to use this to write. There is something more than that. When you are endorsing, you want to confirm, you support, you echo, you corroborate, or the work is in parallel. All these are showing agreement. So definitely when they are showing agreement, you must study the pattern of their publication, old year before new year. Are we together? Now, what if you are using your phrases, you want to use it to show disagreement, disjointment, or contrary opinion, you want to use it to critique. When you are using the word like opposed, refuted, challenged, argued, criticized, or critique, negated, all these are showing disagreement. So when you are showing disagreement, the same rules still apply. If you want to disagree, you must be disagreeing with someone that have already said what you are saying. So not that the person that have said it for a long time will not be disagreeing with you, that you are just coming up. Because it is even possible that it is after you read the original work, that was when you now thought of it that no, my own idea is not going like this. So you must follow that logical pattern. That is what they know as critical analysis or critical writing. So we still get there. I will give you a framework that you can use, but we still get there. So I hope we are coding the class. Now let's look at let's do a practical work on plagiarism, what is patch writing, and true paraphrasing. I will need to use this book. And I want you to see after this, I will go to give back. That's what is necessary. Now I will get my pen. Because majority of books that is just how to apply it. So if I'm saying all this without testing your knowledge, if you're actually following me or not, the same thing will still happen. You will get the theoretical meaning without going out to apply. And remember when I was explaining the issue of interest citation and paraphrasing, I said they are going to give you three things. You read, you understand, and you even apply. If you cannot do the three, you cannot paraphrase, you cannot do the citation for something. You only be stealing another person. Yeah. And another rule of this is if you read a work, you cannot read a work unless you see that work has something to do with what you are doing. So if you read that work, you understand it. You know that don't you are read, you understand it. But you are finding it difficult to increase what you read, what you understand in your work. That shows that what you are doing and what you read are not in agreement. So there is no need for you to force it. It is better when you look for another author's idea instead of trying to fix it in your
or you don't understand your own.
Or you don't understand your own work. But you don't understand the person's idea yet. Because if you understand your work and you read the person's work and you understand, then you will be able to apply it in your work. Because remember the last class, I said every research opens up a door for what? For another research. That's why it is being called what? A research and not search. If you are searching, that's the new thing. But if you are researching, it's not a new thing anymore. And that leads us to our research gap identification and problem identification. You are seeing a problem. You need to go and read what people have done to come up with your gap. The gap can be in form of time, instruments, location, scope, and then so on and so forth. Now, let's say we are working on patch ranking. Sorry, patch ranking and paraphrasing. Patch ranking. If we have a statement like this, original text. Original text is like this. We have global biodiversity. That is this form. Okay, you know what? Let me use what almost all of us will be able to. Yes. Let's I remember this. Environment is one of the factors influencing study habits. This is the original text. And the fish don't speak. This is the original text. At this point, nobody should speak. Because this part, you know why I'm putting more effort on this? If you want to write, you know your topic already, right? You now go online, you go on Google, you type your topic. You'll be seeing different works, right? Now the question is now, after downloading up to 50 journals, How do you now start writing? Okay. Now we are telling you how you now be converting what you are reading down to your own work. After my Mr. Smith will now tell you arrangement or how they are going to arrange your background of the study from their own work. But me, I'm simplifying what is coming to do by telling you that if you read this in another person's work, this is how to transfer it to your own work. It's not with just to come and give you a guide. If you have a topic like this is the first thing that you concentrate on writing. After that, this is how to bring the next writing and the rest. But my office to tell you that if you read so and so, you so and so, if you want to read in your work, this is how to. You can see that our work is like foundational to each other. Now, this is the original text that you have in the paper that you are writing. They said environment is one of the factors influencing study habits. You are reading it in my paper. Taiwo, the original text is written by Taiwo 2026. For example, I'm not the original. Now you want to use it in your own work. And you know that if you copy this thing directly to your work, they will flag it as plagiarism. You are stealing my idea. So definitely you need to understand this thing best. Let's now say I'm not saying one of the factors influencing, or I can say affecting study habits is environment. My question, have I paraphrased? Follow.
Yes.
With this, have I paraphrased? Read it to. Have I paraphrased? Remember, even if you paraphrase, you are still saying the same thing. But what I wrote now, have I paraphrased? What he said, change the arrangement of the page. I've not really changed the way the original author. It's still giving the same meaning. Even if I paraphrase, it will still be giving the same meaning. But this that I have done, I only changed the wordings, the arrangement of the wordings. I'm not paraphrased. So this, only thing we still tell you that I'm very old that. Check the words from influencing here to affecting. Or this was arrangement. They are not. Most times when you paraphrase, is it that the sentence becomes shorter or longer? Do you get? Majority of the time when you paraphrase effectively, is it that one becomes shorter or longer? So who can give us a paraphrased version of this word? Let's start. Because one of the characteristics of a good researcher or academician is that when you see things, you will be able to immediately something will come up. You will think of something immediately. So as you are reading, you should be able to come up with something. Nobody is talking online. One of the most important factors, one of the good factors is write it down, then read it again. When you the way you said it, just write it, then read it. You'll be able to run a without want to go again?
Habit can be study habits.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Study habits can be influenced by
Study habits. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
can be influenced
By
study habits.
Carlos Soleil, 2026. Right? Now, I talk about that to look at. Short paraphrase. This is the original text here. Environment is one of the factors influencing study habits. Now, I did one. I said one of the factors affecting study habits is environment. And when we look at it, we see it as if we are only doing word arrangement with no paraphrase. Now, I said you should give me a good example of a paraphrase sentence of this. So she said study habits can be influenced by the environment.
Well, in my school,
You are going there, but just think, one thing that you need to think here, one thing that you need to think there is that this person is giving us a factual statement. If you are giving us a guessing statement,
that's what I wanted to
So yeah.
so you can't find out. It's that people should thank you. Can see that this influence.
or influence.
Of environment influences body habits. That is your own. What the calories. So whoever does attention ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ní bá ṣe paraphrase. So I'm still looking for more. I can give by to God. Báwo lẹ ṣe tò náà? Èmi wá bá yín fi kún kó tó di bára àwọn tí ó jì. Èmi sọ fún èmi bá yín fún pé environment influences study habit. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni àti ní ṣe bá ṣe lọ pọ̀ jù. Ṣé wọ́n rí citation kìíní wọn? Tọ́mọ báyìí kọ́ lẹ́nu statement mo kàn kọ́ síbẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ mi. Táwọn bàbá gbé lọ kóòtù. Bá ṣe lọ pọ̀ ìsìn, ìkẹyìn kọrì 1, ìkẹyìn kọrì 2. Irú citation wo méjèèjì máa gbà? Àdìyẹ́ǹdì ló máa gbà. Táíwò ló kọ kínní ẹlẹ̀ tuntun kọ. So irú ẹ̀yìn ibà ẹ̀ fi sí pé Táíwò 2026. Èmi náà fi sí bí pé Táíwò 2026. Yes. So ẹni mò ń kọ́ wa ń bí ìfún. Ẹṣẹ́ ń fi bẹ́ẹ̀ bí ẹ máa gbọ́ tí mò ń kọ́ wa ń bí ìfún. Mò ń kọ́ ilé lè mo fi hàn ilé tí bá a kọ́ tẹ́lẹ̀. Eléyìí mo fi introduce new knowledge sí yìí. Ẹ kì í ní new knowledge yìí. Ṣé àwọn tí kẹ́mi náà mo sọ statement? Why tí mo gbọ́dọ̀ fi sáìtì ara mi ò dé? That's our body knowledge. Torí ẹ̀jẹ̀ mi ni bọ̀ ó ti yàtọ̀. Nínú ibi tí mo ti kọ́ di ní ọ̀tọ̀ ni, ìwé mi ni mò ń kọ. So if I just cite it, call it plagiarism. So ó túmọ̀ sí ẹ̀yin fún ayé lè ṣe ayé pọ̀. Adé ti gbọ́ràn.
Irú sì.
Adé ti gbọ́ràn. Play. I play.
Oh, this one is so wonderful.
If I'm not that entirely,
I'll need to start.
you will. If you don't yourself, it's still a crime. If it's still a crime, punishable by law. That's a my daddy. That position. The man of if the reason that professor and looking at doctor, the situation that church is even àwọn reason ni ẹ lè kàwé gba doctor ṣé ẹ lè kàwé gba professor ni ẹ̀yà kọ̀wé gbòòrùn tó ara àwọn ibi tí problem wà bẹ́ẹ̀ àbí kẹ̀kẹ́ lọ sáà táwọn kan wá táwọn táwọn mọ́ sí ti rẹpẹtẹ. Like AI. AI cannot do anything coming directly from here. Information is only I got just any random thing. I actually do any random thing. Anyone. Existing paper. Yes. Charity. Wàhálà pọ̀ ní èmi ti ẹ̀rí àtẹ̀tísẹ́ ti ṣe bí mi ẹni ẹ̀rẹ́ ti kú. Dọ́kítà wa bẹ ní ẹni ìlú. Ṣé bó ṣe tó bóyá pọ̀ tó ẹni ẹ̀ ti kú? Wàhálà pọ̀ ní ẹ̀gbẹ́ ìṣe. No, ó ti kú before. If you want to understand this thing, you should have been a long day. And I will never. Yeah, but that's not mistake. On the line, I thought you might know. You are getting Mr. Ruka, àwọn nìkan ló ti bọ́ọ̀lù class for there is no togetherness in this class. Individual ló wá, individual kó sọ̀tẹ̀. That's why I think fún alẹ́ kan kú tí mo mú wá tí mo fi mú nǹkan tá a máa lè relate pẹ̀lú wa. Mr. Robby, how is it going? Tó ti dàrú. Tó bá padà gbéṣẹ́ lọ fún supervisor tó bá dànù ara reason tó fún dànù. Ó máa ń lè ṣe fún bàbá fún bàbá. Pé tó bá fi submit ẹ̀ tán, tó wá padà rí mistake rẹ̀ ó kọ̀ òun náà ṣe mọ̀ pé mo sọ fún professor kan ní ìlú orí ọmọ rẹ̀. Orúkọ ẹ̀kọ́ ló wà lórí ẹ̀rọ, bọ̀ tó lóun lo supervise ẹ̀ kò yẹ kó gbáǹtà rẹ̀ kó dá bẹ́ẹ̀. So túmọ̀ sí pé tó bá mọ̀, you know it for yourself and for your career. Àwọn ló kọ́kọ́ sọ̀rọ̀. Ẹgbẹ́ náà láti sọ, ẹ sọ fún àwọn èèyàn náà ẹ̀kọ́ jù wá. Ẹ sọ fún àwọn èèyàn kan jọ́jú wa. Ó yà. Wọ́n jẹ́ àbí. No, alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ tẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ tẹ̀. Environment. Synonyms. Àbí synonyms kan náà nìyẹn. Ó lè jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé tẹ bá ń lo synonyms tí paraphrase patch writing. Ẹ̀kan tí àìláàkàtì ìdọ́gba pẹ̀sẹ̀ntì mi náà kọjá lọ bọ́ọ̀bù mi tán ní ti. Tí n bá jẹ́ original author of this, tí n bá ka tẹ̀sán ẹ̀ máa sọ pé rárá let me tell you the beauty of this. If you are writing, tẹ́ bá understand kìíní ìfún gbogbo wa bó ṣe dé mi lọ fún yín. Tí wọ́n á pé lóòótọ́ ẹ̀ kàwé, àwọn ní pattern of writing. Wọ́n á pé lóòótọ́ ẹ̀ ní kàwé, pattern of writing kan náà lámọ̀. Ìtì bá kọ, ìtẹ̀ bá kọ, táwọn èèyàn bá kà, ọmọ àrùn wọn àdìmọ̀ tó kọ́ nínú àrùn. Let me give you a tip. Brother, I dem máa rántí kéèsì ní 2020 and 2021. Báyà ń ṣe masters lọ́wọ́, ẹnìkan tó wá ṣe masters ìbí ṣáájú wa. Àwọn tá a ṣe masters mo wá bá kan project ẹ̀. Bàbá fẹ́ ṣe exam mi ò rí ibi kárí ẹ̀. Mo dẹ̀ sọ fún kó ṣe sùúrù. Òun wá bínú tàbí rọ́ọ̀ṣì tó fẹ̀ pàápàá. Ó wá gbéṣẹ́ ìlú bẹ́ẹ̀ lòdì. Ẹ tó wá gbé lọ bá lọ jẹ́ bàbùdà. Ìyẹn ọ̀rẹ́ wa lòun náà àjọ ṣe masters lọ́wọ́. Tí ẹ kàn ṣe gba iṣẹ́ tó kò báyìí. Ìyẹn kan bí mi kíta ló kọ pépà ẹ̀. Ó lòun ìwọ kọ́ ló kọ pépà ẹ̀ ṣe ẹ̀. Ó lòun ìyẹn kan mú fún ọkọ̀ pèmí lójú ẹ̀. Wọ́n ti pépà báyìí. Ó ní tí mo lè ka ẹ̀. Pattern of writing lágbájá. bó ṣe wà tí fẹ́ẹ̀tì bá mú iṣẹ́ tí èṣe ọ̀gá tí wọ́n kọ́ púpọ̀ tọ̀gá sí ọ̀gá tó ní tí kò ṣe tí kò kárú sùn yìí ò bóyá tiẹ̀ tún lọ láṣáìtì gan wọn wá korúkọ ọ̀gá sí tí fẹ́ẹ̀tì bá ń kà ó máa lè sọ at least to 90% pé ọ̀gá ló kọ̀ kìíní. Tí kò bá ṣọ̀gá lórí iṣẹ́ ọwọ́ ọ̀gá tí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ ó bá wa lọ. Dọ́là tí bá iṣẹ́ tó bá jọ ọ̀dà gáàsì pàmásọ̀ kọjá mo lè sọ pé iṣẹ́ ọ̀dà gáàsì pàmásọ̀ ló ní. Are we following? That is to tell us that all these things don't check on the way I will form. I cannot simply paraphrase better than my use of words. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
We understand.
But on the Kenyan way you go. But if you don't know how to mix words, paraphrasing is very difficult to you understand? And you cannot paraphrase beyond your use of English. So basically, now the paraphrase is easy. So that means even in research, you learn what? English. Any further question on this? It's only one person.
There are several factors that among these factors are family values.
Who gave the family background?
There are something only good about
Only good, but internet is on the first two.
What was the outside?
Oh, I don't know.
I would have said
Important is on
wọ́n ti ń bá láti give up. Àṣé wọ́n ti ń bá láti give up.
forward wa ó lè wọ́n láì ọgbọ́n ikọ́ lápọ̀ síbí ìjọba para pé practically tí a bá ti jẹ́ tẹ́lẹ̀ èmi lè mọ̀ bá lẹ́ni tí wọ́n lóye fún àwọn ìjókòó environment. Let's look at it from another way. Ìjọba ti ń lo àwọn ẹ̀sìn change remember that if you are paraphrasing you need to be very conscious of jargons, professional jargons. So here instead of environment if you check for habitat education jargons kò ní recognize habitat environment ló máa recognize. Ẹni bí tí àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ ìbọn tó wáyé pé láti ìdẹ̀tí ní ibi tí báyìí kẹ́ẹ̀sì tó safety pin ẹ wá ń lọ lo kíní kan pin ẹ wà pé ó tẹ̀sí pé báyìí. Nígbà tí ẹ bá fẹ́ environment habitat nígbà tí àtàkọ́ tí wọ́n kọ́ aláwọ̀ factors tó máa influence learning wọ́n ti fẹ́ bá change the environment habitat. Wọ́n bá sọ ẹ̀rọ láti ìdẹ̀bí ń kọ́. Surroundings close ni wọ́n àti ìròyìn.
Okay, we should just leave those people.
Surroundings, if I'm interpreting surroundings, let's perfect actually later, if perfect surroundings, more than really as physical surroundings become. And the environment goes beyond that. So, communities náà pọ̀ tó almost kò gbé environment kan.
Environment yẹn wà.
Tẹ́lẹ̀ tí mo fẹ́ káàbọ̀ ni pé changing of synonyms, using of synonyms is not equal to paraphrasing. Everything is carried to is telling us what is it. Ẹ bá wo words ọ̀rọ̀ náà. Bàbá ti ṣe lé ìtàn ìlú ọjọ́ kò ní perfect performer. Any words, any words. Sentence rather, any sentence. Kí lẹ pé. Study habit is formed. Ẹ sọ fún wa pé environment nìkan ló ń form study habit.
Study habit is born in the environment. Study habit is one of the ways or factors.
Ẹ má focus lórí synonyms. Mo gbà fẹ́ nínú tèmi náà kọ́kọ́ ṣe kàn tí mo fi ṣòyí pé patch writing ti ní àtàjẹ́ tí wọ́n dé lásán ní àti ìfàǹfẹ́. Ẹ wo wọ́ọ̀dù yìí bóyá lè yí ẹja wo sẹ́tẹ̀ǹsì yìí náà láti ká tún ṣe. Bóyá ẹ máa gẹ̀ẹ́tẹ̀. Àti ṣe léyìn náà fi ti. Ẹ̀rọ ya jẹ́ nǹkan fún ọ nílé ìkọ́ta bá ti parí. Paraphrasing nìkan tó dà bọ́ get citations. Wọ́n ti ti paraphrasing ní.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ìgbà ẹ̀ kò ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe gbà. Ó fẹ́ wá.
Example paraphrase. That's a word Yoruba. Environment is one of the factors influencing study. That's how the one Yoruba. And you want to English, the one of the Kenyan, follow English back on that. Language is generally local. I don't know what I'm going to do. Ask them to
Kí kì í ṣe past tense bẹ́ẹ̀.
Yorùbá ẹ wá tún kọ́ ní English ètò kan fẹ́ understand ìlú. There is sometimes about a paraphrase is not a place to suit what we are writing in our work. Ṣé àti dáhùn mo ti mọ̀ pé mo fẹ́ kọ sí ìlú but I do not just write alone mo á wo context nǹkan tí mo ń kọ. Context nǹkan tí mo ń kọ yẹn ní wàá sọ tí màá ṣe paraphrase. Nǹkan tẹ́ mi. Ṣọ́ra ó dàbí tó kọ pépà tó wá sọ fún wa pé student academic performance in English language in Lagos State is poor. Mo ti mọ̀ pé nǹkan tó pọ̀ jù. Èmi wá fẹ́ lòlù study tèmi náà sọ mo fẹ́ fi justify pé lóòótọ́ làwọn máa ń kà fún bọ́ọ̀lù ìlú ìsìlámù. Èmi ò nílò dáre sí ìbọn èmi ò fi kún. Alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ máa kọ́ ṣe lórí pé nínú English language yí ẹ̀kọ́ lẹ́nu ìdíkọ̀ pépà ẹ̀. Ibi tí màtí ọkọ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni ó kì í ẹ̀yìn ìdíkọ̀ pépà ẹ̀ 2021 màá lọ wo rìsọ́ọ̀tì náà. Ṣé lóòótọ́ ni tó bá jẹ́ lóòótọ́ ni ṣé private ni àbí public ṣé àwọn fóun lọ point mi sí fact ni ok private ni kì í ṣe public gẹ́gẹ́ ó bá kọ tèmi mo lè introduce private màdá kò sì give credit to because state kan náà làjọ ń sọ.
The final 2021 argument that private school English results.
Mo lè bá sọ pé private school ṣe pé every 2020 that public school students are performing better than private school students in English language. That's why the fellow in the room wọ́n yẹ kí mo fẹ́ rí fún ìkan tó sọ ṣé mo pé Africa pretty deeper. Mo lè sọ pé according to Bible 2020 who opine that public school
Private
school students are performing poorly in English language. Mo ti sọ ọ̀kan tó mo sọ. Wọ́n á lè pa síbẹ̀ pé however àwọn quotation quickly just to another level. That's it. But mo fẹ́ fún wa nínú gbogbo project ní pátápátá tẹ̀ bá fẹ́ ṣe this talent quotation ó pọ̀ jù ẹ mọ̀ jù mẹ́ta lọ. Èmi ò nílò rárá, èmi ò láìpẹ́ rárá. Mo tẹ́ bá tẹ̀ wá fẹ́ sọ pé ẹ fẹ́ lò maybe due to the peculiarity of that statement. Ó pọ̀ jù ẹ mọ̀ jù. Òun náà lè lò was 40 minus 40. Gbogbo nǹkan tẹ̀ ń gbọ́ yìí, wọ́n fi kò ní pọ̀ fún wa ní àyè.
So any
Máa padà
so instead of using it as we should paraphrase instead.
Gbogbo ètò kù ẹ̀jẹ̀ kò jẹ́ paraphrase. But àwọn ìṣẹ́ bá rí pé ó máa kẹ́ ẹ̀ ṣó lẹ̀ wọ́n ṣe yẹn ṣe kọ́ lóòdù máa ga jù. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ tó wà. Tó bá yá fẹ́ tà báyìí, láwọn ṣé kí ní ẹ̀ máa wà láàrin ọ̀rọ̀ báyìí, something like this.
Yes.
So tẹ́ bá ti ṣe báyìí, ẹ ti ń sọ fún rídà yín. Àtìkọ́ ni sì yan pé kí ni ọ̀gbẹ́ni if you give it to someone as an operator, there is a way to test anything that if you see this, it's showing that what they need at the end of the show. Oh my life, I will leave before you. Oh my life. Are we following? Now, the rules of this is your 40 minus 40. If your word is still below 40 words, near and parenthesis, there is no need for you to use paragraph or any intention. No need for it. No need for showing the italize but the moment you have up to 40, greater than less than if it's less than 40, then indent. But to make it to 40, I put it to 40 now, and my indent. Indent to the left, 0.5, what am I italize? Let's do it like this. Don't ẹ máa wò mí lórí Microsoft Word nínú kíní bẹ̀ yẹn. Ṣé rí pé mo sọ pé kíláàsì tó ní ṣó wà nù ẹ̀? Let me see. Mo sọ fún wa pé kíláàsì tó ní ó máa wà a bit practical. Slide the version. Look at what you can see on your screen now. And then can we see it? This is where we are going. Show one better. Mo ti explain, mo fẹ́ ṣe fún wọn practically kan lè rí in tí mo sọ. You know what? Let me go and do it. Again, lọ ṣe fún yín fúnra mi. Stop sharing. Share. Microsoft Word. Mi ti máa kẹtàn. Market guide tí mo ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ gan mo gbàgbé sí bí mo ṣe mú láàárọ̀ ìpadà. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Oh yeah, please let's follow. tó bá ti ṣe òfófó. Ó ti wà ní fún word name. Now, are we following? Now, let's say this place that I highlighted, how many words? Low and knowing. This is 58 words, right? Now, as it is 58 words, assuming that this thing that the person said, I didn't paraphrase, I only copy it directly. It's direct quotation. So, and it's more than 40 words. So instead of putting it this way, I will not do it like this. I will highlight, right click, paragraph, under indentation to the left, I will put 0.5. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Ní settings kan nínú tẹ́lẹ̀. Right click, paragraph, 0.5. Yeah, 5 Then I will italize. Then màá fi kíní ẹ̀ sí bóyá 1.5 like this. Then at the end, I will put page number. Sometimes this page number, ẹ lè má rí. Nínú ibi tí mo ti lọ mú but you still want to write it this way. Paragraph by paragraph. Instead of page number, you now put paragraph number. So that if someone else wants to go and check, just looking for that paragraph. So I want to know but they are very necessary. Show everybody. Greater than, less than. Is greater than or equal to. Less than. Any other question? Less than 40, there is no need for indentation. Now, ẹ já padà sí assignment ẹ̀kan yẹn. Èmi ti ní sentence tí mo fẹ́ fún wa. Ẹ já wo, check your chat box. That statement. Ẹ já paraphrase it. Let's paraphrase that statement. Mo ti rí i pé paraphrasing yẹn ló fẹ́ jẹ́ difficult task fún everybody báyìí. Mo lè end ẹ̀ síbí yòókù. We will see it in the time. Okay, you can stop. You can end the recording. So that section 10 might get second section.